Interview with Vanessa Carson about Vietnam. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Newport, Maine. I was born in Newton Center, Massachusetts. I moved here when I was a baby. I moved to Missouri for a while when my oldest daughter was a baby. Moved back here to Maine and have been here ever since.
How did Vietnam affect you?
Well, it started when I was quite young, maybe like 8 to 10 years old, and every night on the news we would see more fatality listings to the hundreds, and it was in the thousands. And every night we stayed glued to the TV, listening to Walter Cronkite talk about death, and we see the reporters over there. And every night we see people getting killed on TV, and we lost 2 people in nearby Plymouth, Maine, to the Vietnam War, and my first husband was in the Vietnam War.
How did Vietnam affect your husband's physical state?
Well, his physical state, I'm sure because of everything he saw and went through over there. Things that he couldn't tell me because some were secret. Some things he did tell me. But of course it was more mental stress. He didn't get wounded or anything, but the mental stress caused a lot of physical problems that probably led to his death 4.5 years ago.
So what exactly did he die from?
Pancreatic cancer. I was not married to him at the time.
Do you think that was linked to Vietnam?
The doctors are wondering now if it might be Agent Orange. It had something to do with his pancreatic cancer because he had been over there for 2 or 3 visits or whatever you call them over there.
Tours.
Tours, yeah. I think he was there probably 3.5 years altogether, maybe 4 years.
So how did that affect your husband mentally?
Well, he didn't want to talk about a lot of things, but once in a while he would. He was a quiet man, and I think that made him more quiet and into himself more. We went to get loans at VA places. We looked at a VA loan to purchase our house, and we could have gotten one, but it was ridiculously high. We went in a different route, trying to get any loans or any help through the VA. Back in those days, back in the early mid-70s, was difficult.
What was the country's morale during the war?
Well, around here in a small town, I think basically we just went with the flow. I don't think we felt horrible about it. It was sad. I think what brought us to really realize what was going on was the news at night. And then, like I said, losing 2 local people that were in Plymouth, young men, I think that brought it to more reality to this area. I don't think there was too many demonstrations or anything like that around here, but the death of 2 Plymouth residents was enough for us, I believe.
How was the economic situation there at Vietnam?
Well, for me, living in Newport, starting to raise a family, getting out of high school, it didn't seem to be too bad. But I know in some places of the country it started. I think more of the stress of the war happened later on, after it was over with. But for around here, I don't think we suffered as much as a lot of the country.
What were your thoughts about the presidents during the Vietnam War?
Well, of course, at the time they were presidents, they were a president, and we always believe they've done well. But it isn't always a president anyway. It's the Congress and Senate. All of them collectively, being young, being just, through high school and early 20s when it got done. I think I was 19 or 20 when it ended. I think the president was our president, and we looked up to him. But afterwards, I see he did some things he probably shouldn't have. But then he probably did some things that he should have. So I'm not upset with anything that he did.
How were the veterans from Vietnam treated after the war?
They weren't treated really well around here. Like I said, the VA didn't help a lot. Not like they do now. There was no parade for them. There was no coming home. There was nothing. I know a few of the Vietnam vets got eggs thrown at them and like that. I don't think my ex-husband did. But there was no drills and frills or anything for them. They were just back. That was it. All of a sudden they were back. And that was it.
Do you think Vietnam was one of the worst wars that you know of?
Probably because of the type of war it was. It was more like guerrilla warfare.
Like Iraq?
And, yes, possibly. But it was our first time in a war like that, I believe, really. And we should have gone in there stronger, and losing it and losing all the lives we did, it was shameful and sad. It was like all for naught.
Alright, thank you for your interview.